Okay, it's 6:03. I'd like to call this meeting of the Bloom Carroll Board of Education to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbott?
Present.
Mr. Bratton?
Present.
Mr. Johnson?
Present.
Mr. Millis?
Present.
Ms. Parker?
Present.
Okay, if you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. One of you young people like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Girls, stand up. Everybody off your phone. All right, lead it, girls, boys.
Go ahead. Thank you. Now we have approval of agenda with a few changes.
Yeah, we have an addendum.
We have an addendum and we have some different names than we're supposed to have on D on page 2 as to who's voting.
So, first one's what, 9C? Under 9C, it's page, starts on page 4. Number 14, we will amend the agenda, item 9C 14D, that's Elizabeth Ankrum dock day request for May 24th, 2018 to May 25th, 2018. And on number 14, approve the following request for an unpaid leave or dock day. We will add an E to that. That'll be 1/2 day for Nicole Begum on May 14th, 2018. And then staying on 9C, going to number 19, which is on page 6. Remove agenda items 9C. You're going to remove E and F from 19. So strike that through. Travis will reflect the change in the minutes
Okay.
on the agenda. So just strike through E and F. And then we're going to, under C, which would go on page 8, we're going to add number 25.
We're talking about 8 in the original agenda, or we're talking about the addendum?
On the addendum, it's 9C, you're going to add 25, which would be approve the employment of Shelby Elswick as a 2018 summer custodian. That'll be on page 8 of the original agenda.
Is there a reason for 19 being removed?
There's a
changed their
change,
mind?
there's a change of plans, I guess.
Okay.
Last minute change of plans with baby soccer.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And then under D, contracts and agreements, it would be page 9 of the original agenda. We're going to add the contract with OU for field experiences for a speech and language pathologist. So that would be number 7. And then under new business, we will add an item which will be A, and that'll be the OSBA legislative platform nomination. That is on page 9 as well.
That's me.
Okay. Let's go backwards to page 2, which would be number 7, letters D, E, and F. We will need to strike the voting lines of DeSalvo, Fowler, and Chapman, and add
Yeah.
Abbott, Bratton, and Johnson on 7D. On 7E, we'll need to strike DeSalvo, Fowler, and Chapman, and add Abbott, Bratton, and Johnson. And on 7F, we will need to strike DeSalvo, Fowler, and Chapman, and add Abbott, Bratton, and Johnson for voting lines there. And then, Mr. Johnson, you have a request?
Yes, on page 8, can we insert page 7, under number 21, I'm sorry, it is page 7, number 21. Can we insert a voting line after Richard Galkey?
G.
G.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Now, everybody got all those?
You got all those? There's a quiz later. No. Okay, any other changes? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Motion.
Oh, motion. Daggone it. Yes, motion.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. How about a roll call now?
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Millis?
Yes. Number 5, approve the minutes of the April 9th, 2018 meeting. Anyone have any questions about that meeting? I didn't see anything. I looked through it, but nothing jumped out at me.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Good.
So moved.
Okay. A second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Abstain.
And Mr. Mills?
Yes. And number 6, we have public participation.
Okay, this evening for public participation, we've got a number of items we want to address. First of all, before we get into the school nurses update and also the food service updates for this year, we have a group of people with us that have played an important role in supporting the school district and really rallying the community around a very important issue. And we have the committee for BC Kids with us this evening and a lot of their children. And what happened over the past 5 months, this has been a process over many years, but when it was actually time to put this into action, and we knew that we were going to be able to be on the ballot in May, on May 8th, obviously we needed the issue of our elementary facilities and the maintenance and security of our facilities and our students to really take ownership, to be owned by our community. It just couldn't be a school board. It just couldn't be a superintendent or building principals. It really needed to be parent-driven. And parents needed to work together with the school district. And we have a great community where our parents do support their children and support our school district. And I just want this committee to know how impressed I have been with the effort, the energy, the leadership, the selflessness that you gave up to not only impact some of our current students, but the future of the Bloom Carroll School District in a very positive way. You have no idea the immediate impact you will have on generations of children in our school district for many, many generations. And we are very grateful to all of you for your time and energy and effort that you put into this to make this a community issue. And you should not be, you should be the proudest group of people there are in Fairfield County and in Central Ohio. You did an amazing job. You were well led by Jen Sherman, parent. Her family gave up a lot of time. All of your families gave up a lot of time. But I think half the fun is bringing this community together, and that's what we did to get this issue supported. And I've seen a huge shift in our school district of parent support and working together, parents working together to support the district, just not individual families. But I love what I see, and it's an honor. It was an honor to work with all of you, and I look forward to many more years of working together to improve the school district. But thank you. I know the board has some comments they would like to make, but Jen Sherman and all of you, please stand up to be recognized, please. Thank you. You know, we have so many people here that help behind the scenes with different events, school events, non-school events, getting the message out, getting literature out, getting literature design, getting websites built, getting the mailers put together that the committee sent out, checking facts with me, making sure that we had accurate information that we were sending out, Jen pulling people together and delegating responsibility and leading in that process. It was. There are districts all over the state that have contacted me asking who we hired. And I said, we didn't spend a dime. I mean, first of all, the school district cannot spend money, but even a levy committee and the funds that they have did not spend money to hire anybody to support them. It was a group of creative parents and community members that are retired, people without children in their school district, people that never had children in our school district, people that live throughout our school district in all different areas. We were well represented. It was impressive. People were asking me how we did it. I'm telling them they can buy our plan for $19.99 for a limited time. But I just want you to know that people think that we had professionals. We did have professionals, but not professional. Levy.
True sense.
Yeah, levy people to help you run a campaign. You guys were amazing. We are very grateful. Thank you so much for everything that you did. It was outstanding. Mark?
Anyone else? I'd just like to say, first of all, this gentleman had said most of it. I really appreciated your dedication and the whirlwind known as Jen Sherman. I thought, wow, this lady's really got the energy and drive. And the work that all of you did. I mean, just the literature drops I did just about wore me out the one time anyway. I got all the way down there to the first subdivision off of Lithopolis Road, and I thought, wow, that hill looks really steep. And I was already sweaty and putrid, and I thought I gotta walk all the way up to Failers and get my truck. Yes. So you did a great job. I mean, in order to hiring those people, I knew somebody that did that, and they get thousands of dollars for doing that, into 5 figures for helping with the levy campaign. And you know, they certainly don't guarantee a victory or anything like that. And to win by the amount of votes we did, 650 is the right?
660.
660. I mean, it's like I was saying 200 to Travis and to Sean, and I was glad that I was wrong. When I saw that last one come up about 11:30, I thought, wow. And then I thought maybe you guys were still having a get together, and I called the pizza place at 11, and evidently they were closed, or they were in the process of throwing you out. Anyway, just kidding.
They threw us out.
They threw you out. It's time to go. But you guys did a great job, and we really appreciate the effort, and we hope you'll come back to meetings where we're planning on what to do, what to be included in this new K-5 building, because we need the input. We don't want people saying, well, if I'd have known about that, you know. Of course, my wife was already giving me ideas since she subs all the time. But anyway, but thank you very much. It's very much appreciated.
Anybody else?
Next.
I would
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would echo the same thing. I mean, the core of it really was you guys. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to do this to honestly, I was thinking about it the other day, like just literally make history. I was part of it, what was that, 2013, I think, when we
Yes.
tried to pass it the first time. I was part of that group. We couldn't get it done. It was unbelievable, the effort that was put in and forward. To Mr. Hahn's point, he got calls from other school districts. We actually got a couple calls from people that are not even in the state wondering what we did.
Really?
So, and that they're about to put a bond issue on and wanting to understand what it was our school district did. So I mean, I can't say enough about this community. I grew up here, and just the ability that we all rally together, it's unreal. So thank you again.
I would say the same thing. Even from the very first kickoff meeting, it was so well organized. There was so much energy.
Yes.
When you were there, when you left, you were like pumped, ready to go.
Yes, right off the bat.
And just like Matt had said, I grew up here. You know, I went through all the old levies that failed time after time, and to see the way this one went, it was just amazing. And I've had people outside the school district basically say we weren't going to pass without hiring some sort of professional, and you know, it's you guys that made it all happen. So thanks again.
No, I would just first thank all of you. I worked with a lot of you, your effort, your hard work. It means a lot to me personally. You guys are great people, first and foremost, great parents, but better community members for everybody. Jen, Brandy, I worked with you guys. You guys worked your tails off. I see you guys. There was times where you cried a little bit and shed tears from just talking to people, but really with anything that you do, it's all about personal relationships, and we were able to connect to the voters built around that, and I'll be more grateful and happy, and that's the thing that I'll always remember more than anything. But to second something here, this also wouldn't have been done very well without a great leader in Sean Hahn.
That's right.
You guys worked well with him. He's a long fit for this school district, and thank you, Sean.
Oh, thank you. I thank them. They had my back the whole time and really took over. So had the right people in place. When somebody said Jen Sherman, I said, that's right. I got to go talk to her. So no, it worked out well. But thank you. What we could do right now, I'd like all of you to kind of maybe come up here and get in this little area. We'll stand up. If you guys can kind of stand in front of us. Jody's
going
going
to introduce everyone that's here.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Then Jody, yeah. After Jen introduces everybody, Jody will come up and take a picture of us back here. Is that okay?
And although there were hundreds of volunteers, there were definitely a core group of people that donated their time. I want to start with Ann Shoup right here, who did all of our graphic design. She's a professional graphic designer and donated hours early on that no one would ever see, creating this brand so that it would be highly recognizable. People would be attracted to it. I told the t-shirt people I wanted the shirt of the century, and here we are wearing them. You know, so I just can't say enough hours in editing and just an enormous amount of effort on her part behind the scenes. And she has 3 little ones, so we're excited that they'll benefit.
And thick skin, because we'd always say,
Yeah.
oh, I think you need to change that. I think you
That
need to
color
change
yellow,
that."
I just
So we
found
got
the
it
right
just
color
right.
yellow, you know?
That shade of yellow is not perfect.
And then we have Jada Baldwin, who headed up our youth vote and really reached out to the younger voters and made sure that they knew they could leave school and vote.
Yes.
And to do their civic duty. And really got that going among the 18-year-olds and the
College.
current graduating classes. And I thought that was crucial, so thank you to Jada. This is the Breaker family. They were, I'm sure you recognize them from the knock and drops. They walked and rode their bikes and pulled a wagon and all this other stuff to be a part of the knock and drops. And from early on, they came to the meetings and were very supportive with the literature group and, just all very invested as a family for that too. Sam Sargent and Brandy Phillips both co-chaired the events committee. And that first night, I was like, who's gonna do events? And like, we'll do it. And I thought, they have no idea what they're signing on for. And they didn't. And so Sam became a genius, a sign-up genius, so everybody can ask her how that works. And then, but collectively, they both not only organized the events, but, ran up here to give people pamphlets and were constantly on the move and just that organization and communication with hundreds of volunteers, really. So that was a huge job, and I just wanted to recognize their efforts for sure. And then Beth Brockwood helped us do the preschool group. She really reached out to the preschools to get information to them. Again, I think that young vote really helped push us over. So we appreciate her efforts outside the school. And Mary Morgan, her sister, again, was here the night of the musical. I mean, right from the very beginning, at most of the events, helping out and doing all that extra time. And of course, Steve supporting cast and Brandy, which is great. And
He drove my golf cart around the
Right,
radio
right,
station,
right.
so.
And thanks to my family too for being so supportive and wearing those shirts all the time. So, but I thank you for the board for being so forward thinking and giving us what we need in this community and being brave enough to put it in front of the voters. And I thank Sean for being a visionary with the leadership and really welcoming these parents to get involved and welcoming the opinions and hoofing it like he did. I think that no one will ever see the hours he put in. And so, and then one more person, Jody Rangar, who did so many hours of video editing and all of the social media. I mean, our kid one got 6,000 some views, which is insane. So,
We may have been stalkers on
yeah,
that.
we were talking that, but just fantastic at communicating the message and really nailing it when it comes to the emotion of the campaign and designing it. And we've had a couple dinners together and we feed off each other's energy and brainstorming, and so it was super fun for me to connect with her. So I appreciate all your effort.
You know what was amazing is this group really didn't know each other. We had hundreds of
Right.
people that really didn't know each other.
Right.
And that was important that we didn't all know the same people. So we purposely pulled from people that didn't know each other. But
Yes.
I know this, I developed a lot of good friendships and relationships because of this process that we'll have for a long time. So again, thank you to all of you. You're amazing people. Stay involved in the schools, stay involved in this process. Travis and I are working with a number of things, regional program consultants, bond councils, construction councils, trying to get things organized and set so we can get this process started. But when we get to the design phase where there's community involvement, I hope to see you involved in the process again as much as people can be within the OFCC guidelines, and you can see the scope of what a project looks like and have input, because this needs to be, talk about community ownership. The community needs to continue to be involved in this school district, but we're just so thankful to all of you. So I'll let all of you go after we get a picture taken, and I hope all of you have a good night and find some time with your kids and families this summer, okay?
I wouldn't be surprised if OSBA might not contact you.
I already told him, I said, we're presenting.
Yes, they do that, so.
Yeah.
'Cause
Come on up,
I've
come on
went
up.
to a few of those.
Yeah.
Up here?
Yeah, you stand in front, face that. Jada, you forgot your.
That's fine.
Oh.
But there's been no time. There's been.
Just roll our eyes.
How are you?
With Stacy.
Little ones up front. Come on, hey.
That'd be me.
Are you on your shoulders? Stand on your chair.
Right here.
Stand up in your chair.
Zach, I need you up front.
Just a little bit
Stand next to
more,
Hank.
sorry.
Squeeze in.
Can you see?
You want it up there?
You need to stand up on
I know
that.
Sean would have
It's
to
his
work.
hair.
It's the hair.
You ready?
It's it.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Gotcha.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all.
See you guys. Have a good one, man. All right.
Thank
Take care.
you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
See you guys.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for making time and recognizing us. We appreciate it.
No
And
you're welcome.
there were so many people that did so much down here. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks. Good to hang out. I'll miss you.
I don't want to unplug your computer.
Thank you guys for making time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
See you guys.
Thank you.
I don't want to leave you out.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yes, I was, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to leave you out either.
I mean, what do you do? Just slide it. Yeah, it's the green one.
Great team, and they're also a great team altogether. They make sure they follow the rules and that we're in compliance. Every year we have to have training and for their professional standards, and we're doing the training in August for that. Every cook has to have so many hours per year according to how many hours they have, contract hours they have. This year we had our CRE review, which the Child Nutrition Department of the Ohio Department of Education comes in and check and make sure that we're following all of our rules, serving the right amounts, and serving whole grains, and everybody has to have a fruit or a vegetable every day. It's required. We can't use it as a reimbursable meal. And we did great on that. We had a couple free and reduced applications that they had us go through and redo, and we couldn't sell the croutons we were having. So
I love croutons.
they came in and they stayed for the day and watched online to make sure we were doing everything right. Our department also does more than just our food or our lunches. We also do teacher in-service breakfasts. We do lasagna dinners, and we do the kiddie corral. We just did the FFA banquet, and so there's a lot of other things that we do. Other than that, we kind of take turns serving in them. This year so far, we have served 38,091 breakfasts and 153,739 lunches, all in compliant.
How many lunches? 153?
153,739. We still have a couple weeks to go. This is the time of year when all the field trips and everything make us have low counts, but every year we get our entitlement balance. This year we had $53,000 that we pull from to get our prices for our food that we serve. I take part of that and put it into a fresh fruit and vegetable program, and so we can pull from that for free. So this year, we've got like $22,000 worth of free fruits and vegetables because we order from that every year, so that has helped us out quite a bit as far as financially goes. And I think that was it. Our reimbursement rates. Paid lunch is 37 cents a meal. Our reduced is $2.89 a meal, and our free we get $3.29 per meal. And our free and reduced, we're at 17%. Free and reduced. It's not high enough to get any kind of.
It's pretty low compared to a lot of districts.
Kept a lot. Yeah, where I used to teach where it's over 50%, I believe.
Yeah.
I have a question. I had heard from someone I know who's with the cooks. Is there been a problem with the dishwashing machine at the intermediate building? Is that the right building?
Yeah.
Has it been taken care of?
Quite a few issues over there. It's not lasting through the year. Yes,
Okay.
it needs replaced. We've been advised. But
Okay.
that versus getting it fixed, I don't know what they decided on. I haven't heard, so.
Okay.
It was
I
quite a
was
big difference.
I was told about that, so I thought I'd ask. That's my only question.
Anything else?
Anyone else?
Good. Any questions? All right. And we didn't, I'm sorry, we did not introduce, we have new board members here. This is Marilyn Enger, our food service director, so I apologize for that. But thank you for being here and giving us an update, and you do a good job, and your staff does a good job. So Marilyn actually works out of the high school. Her office is in the very hot kitchen of the high school, and then she's also out to the intermediate, primary, and middle school to keep just make sure she's checking on things with each head cook and each department in each building, each food service department in each building. So Marilyn's been doing this for, what did we say, 9 years? Yeah, 9 years, I think.
I've been here since '96 in food service department.
But the supervisor positions for the last 9, yeah. So thank you, Marilyn.
So how many head cooks did you say?
We have 4.
4, okay.
One in each kitchen.
Yeah.
And then total?
Total, we have 13.
13,
Yeah.
We know one of the head cooks, Joe, I believe.
unfortunately. No.
The class,
She's-
Jones, and my daughter. Thank you for all you do.
All right. Thank you, Marilyn. Mary Ann? School nurse, I should say. The other one was not able to make it this evening. So you're welcome to come around here and talk to us. You don't have to hide back there behind the chair. So,
I just want to be taller.
yeah.
I'm still waiting. I'm Mary Ann McCullough. I am one of 2 nurses. Nicole Begum is the other one. I do the high school and middle school, and Nicole does the primary and the intermediate school, and also takes care of preschool over at the intermediate. Nicole is out this evening. Her child is receiving an award at the Circleville School District. But she sent me a note. And what she would like you to know is that the clinic has seen a higher number of illnesses this year due to the flu season and strep. We've been working real closely with the Fairfield Department of Health. They kept track of our numbers actually, as they did all of the other districts in the area. She's currently working on getting the Heart Safe certification in each building. Kind of ran into a roadblock with MCOR. So it's on hold for a little while. They currently don't have someone who can come in and help us complete all of the trainings.
What is MCOR? Let's go ahead and ask, before I forget it.
I am probably not the person to
Oh, okay.
answer that to.
It's a private company. We actually use them for screenings of our athletes for heart screenings, and they also do some additional trainings and certifications. They have people that are certified to do other trainings with this Heart Safe school accreditation. So I think we're still pursuing that, but we just have to find the trainers, and we have worked with them, and I probably need to follow up and see if they're hiring somebody or if we need to go a different route.
Correct.
So, and then also the CPR AED training.
Which I was gonna talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
We have done CPR and AED training for all of our buildings in the district, where they actually had a hands-on piece. They observed a tape, went for a PD day, and then had to actually practice on the dummy, so that everyone is aware as to how to do this.
Do you and Nicole teach that?
No,
does that-
MCOR actually did this
Really?
part for us.
Yeah, we actually, and we did that on in February, on one of our professional development days. Everybody in the district, by law, we're required to have everybody trained by July 1st, 2018.
Everybody?
With AED,
Okay.
hands-on AED training, but we had a few people absent, so we were looking at the law and trying to get an opinion, but it looks like our nurses will be able to provide a backup training for the people that were absent. So Nicole and Mary Ann are looking at doing that before the end of the year for people that were absent, so they have the AED training.
So how long does that training? Is it good for 1 year, then they?
It's once every 5.
Once
Okay.
every 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Because way back when it was just for supplementals if you were a coach or what have you.
Right.
Right, and that's actually, and there's a difference. These are trainings versus certifications.
Certification, okay.
Yeah.
The certification piece
Yeah,
is
you're certified. Or I'm
longer
certified.
and in more detail.
You could quit
Some of the
on it.
new things that we're doing, the Fairfield County Health Department sent me a notice, and the other nurse a notice about growing a garden.
Oh.
So we have approximately 7 teachers between these 2 buildings, the middle school and the high school, who are interested in doing that. They've gotten a grant for that, and they're trying to put it together in several districts throughout this particular community. We already have one teacher at the primary building who has a grow garden. And basically what it is it's a self-sustaining, they plant in this and use, it's no soil.
Oh.
All of the nutrients, it's a hydroponic
Hydroponic.
kind of a deal. So getting some other teachers here at the middle school and high school involved is really kind of a good thing. We are also working on, and he had been working on, the Stop the Bleed campaign. That kind of was one that I took to heart this year. It is a national campaign that many districts are doing, and basically it came about because of the mass tragedies that have occurred everywhere. And one of the things, we've been to a couple of conferences actually, where we've had the school nurse from Sandy Hook and some of the other schools. Their big thing was these kids died because there weren't enough tourniquets. People didn't know all they needed to do was stop the bleeding. So several of the area hospitals, the fire department, actually almost all of the area hospitals have called us. Grant has called us, Doctors has called us, wanting to present the program. It is a 2-hour program, although some of the nurses say we can maybe shrink it to 1. So we're gonna actually try. And what it basically is they will come in with a trauma team, a physician, the trauma physician, the nurses that normally work that. They will come in and teach all of us exactly what it is that we need to do. I've been to actually portions of it already. They use pool donuts with cuts in them to show you how to stuff a wound, so that, yeah, how to apply a tourniquet correctly, all of those kinds of things, and how to just do it, and it's really inexpensive stuff. We already last year provided each of the classrooms with tourniquets, gauze, tape, those kinds of things. So they are hanging in each classroom in all of the buildings here currently. And we did review also with our staffs, how to apply. They've known, but it's from us. And what we've learned too is sometimes it's better when the information comes from outside of us, when it's presented and not just within. Sometimes there's a little more credibility.
When are you planning on doing that? Because I know when I brought the issue, Sean, I had a parent reach out to me about it in regards to don't stop the bleed. And it was something to do with finding the time around professional development and everything going around now. Are you guys going to do that in the near future, or is that your plan?
We hope to be able to do it sometime next year,
Okay.
towards the early part of the year on one of our PD days.
The 2-hour training was the major roadblock because of
Exactly.
contractual workday and the amount of time we can hold them after for staff meetings. But we did build in extra PD days for next year, so we should be able to work it in. I have not heard from the individual that contacted several of you about donating Stop the Bleed kits or tourniquet kits to the district. So if you have followed up with that individual, please tell.
And I bet Joe did.
Right,
So
I can reach out
to me again. I mean, we'll accept them. I'm sure the board would accept them. But, we have 100 and some teachers, 30 some teachers that will need them for every classroom. So,
Right.
I don't know at what level they were planning to make that donation, but,
He didn't.
if we can just get them for elementary, if that's all they can do, that would be fine. If we can get them just for the middle school or high school, that would be fine. But if we could get them district-wide, that would be the best case scenario. So, and we'll, I'm sure, gladly accept them. So.
Also, this year is the first year that the Ohio Department of Health has requested that we keep track. They are now asking us to file a report on our hearing and vision screenings. We routinely file a report on immunizations of every student in the district. We are now having to file a report on hearing and vision. They've also added another piece to it where Last year, we added the 11th grade for just hearing alone. This year, they've added the vision portion to that also. Reason being, they're seeing a lot more of the older students before they go off to college with hearing and vision issues because of cell phones, iPods, all of those kinds of things, and kids not wearing their glasses. So we are now doing that. We also are, again, filing a diabetes report with the Ohio Department of Health. They keep track of the number of type 1 and type 2 diabetics in our district. And they also want to know if there were any medication errors or any big issues with us and making sure that the diabetic kids were getting everything they needed. We continue to go to conferences on a regular basis. The Ohio Department of Health and Children's Hospital, we have at least one conference a year specifically for school nurses that we attend. We serve on the Fairfield County, Healthy Fairfield County Committee, I do. It is a committee composed of a school nurse representative for the entire county, which is me. Fairfield Medical Center is on it, Parks and Recreation is on it. The committee meeting is usually held either at the Department of Health or up at the hospital. The other committee we also participate in is the Survey Committee. That is a committee that designs a survey every few years on the services that are provided in the county, the types of people that they're serving, the income, socioeconomic piece, and what kinds of things that they can improve to better serve the people that live here. We design the questions. The surveys are randomly sent out. There are surveys for, it's basically they're broken into 3 categories depending on the age of your children and senior citizens. You fill out the survey, send it back, and then they tally the information. Many of the questions that we put on there actually come from the Centers for Disease Control. As a general rule here in all of our buildings too, we have seen kind of an increase in our mental health issues, anxiety, depression, those kinds of things. That is pretty common throughout the county, not specific to us. And I'm gonna say that as a rule, it's kind of, because we're getting better at identifying when people are having an issue, and we're also identifying it earlier than we had in the past, which is good. This summer, the Department of Health here is also offering a conference for the school nurses on cocaine abuse and what we can do in our individual schools with cocaine and some of the other drug abuse questions. This is the first year they've ever done that, so that conference is actually in July. We have a new communicable disease nurse in the county. Her name is Rebecca Sutter. She sends us a weekly update along with all of the other nurses in the county and lets us know what the Department of Health is seeing as far as strep, whooping cough, chicken pox, mumps, sneezing, all of those things. Then she also sends us a little piece and tells us what they're seeing in the emergency departments and the urgent cares, so that we are well aware of the kinds of issues that are going around. She also keeps track of when there's an outbreak in our building. And when I say keeps track, it's not names, it's just a number. How many cases of flu have you had? 3. And she will ask, are they lab certified cases or just per the parent too? Because it does make a difference. And we do have a lot of physicians here who don't necessarily run the lab work, but will say, hey, this is what it is. So she's new. The communicable disease nurse, Tiffany Nash, is now the director of nursing for Fairfield County. We do have an annual nursing meeting with all of the other nurses in the county.
What about opioids?
To be honest, I'm gonna be honest. I know of a few things that go on in the high school, but as a rule,
Okay.
I don't really hear too much.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do I think that it's not going on? No, I think that every school has an issue.
Oh, yes, I
Every
think so.
single one. And they will tell you that. Do I think ours is a huge problem? I think I would hear more about it or see more kids with issues. I think this is all part of that whole national movement of being more aggressive with drug addiction. And the fact, as everyone knows, that this is kind of a thoroughfare up to Columbus, Cleveland, and beyond for drug trafficking.
I will credit the Adam H. Board in Fairfield County is being very active with providing some information sessions throughout the county. Education programs are trying to connect to the school districts better and some of the resources within the county to help not only educate but support those that do have addiction problems. So Adam H. has become more and more active, I think, over the last year, specifically with the opioid issue. And the governor's obviously got a huge push to educate and support individuals with that dependency. So I know I've been to several meetings with them. So.
And this county is very, very good at connecting with people and the resources that it offers. I actually live north, and I worked in Delaware County and Franklin County on their stuff. The resources that are available to the community here for the size of this community are really quite impressive. The summer programs, eating healthy, all of the stuff, the free lunches that are available for kids when they, in the summer, who would normally be on a free and reduced lunch. If they're in one particular park in Lancaster, lunch is there every, Monday through Friday. So that part of it is really, really nice.
The only question I have, the immunizations, the changes from a couple years ago, doesn't
Yes.
that impact a class coming in for next year or moving into their junior year or senior year with the immunizations? And what are we doing to communicate with those families so when their kids come back to school, they know what they need to start the school year?
It's an additive every year.
Yeah.
We add a new grade.
Right.
And what changed was they required meningitis
Right.
for 12th graders. One shot if the first shot was given after the age of 15.
15, okay.
Otherwise, 2. And the 2-shot piece now is easy to do because they are now requiring 7th graders to have a Tdap and a meningitis. What are we doing about it? Immunizations every year are a really hard thing to get from parents. I have been,
That was gonna be my
since
question.
January of this year, putting on every single report card that goes home,
Okay.
the shot requirements. There's also a schedule I have given you guys. There's a schedule online of what our immunizations happen to be. We sent out just last week reminds at the high school and the middle school. This week, I will actually be sending individual letters home with the 6th graders whose shots I still do not have.
Okay.
So there's no
We work like
exclusion, we don't
crazy.
exclude,
Pardon me?
we don't exclude students that aren't current.
The parents can, even though the state health department strongly suggests and says require, if you read carefully through the law, if they
Right.
object to it, they can put
They
that in writing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. There's always a loophole out
There,
there.
right.
And parents they can refuse, they just have to send me an
Documentation.
exemption letter,
Yeah.
a document stating that they choose to refuse. The other thing that we do, every single time that the county health department opens a shot vaccine clinic, we post it in our buildings that there is a shot vaccine clinic. And I think one of the things too that parents don't always understand, this doesn't necessarily have to come from your primary care doctor. You can walk in and get it everywhere and it's covered by insurance as preventative health.
Right.
Okay. Good deal. Mary Ann, thank you very much for being here and representing the nurses. Good job. Thank you.
Okay, nobody else signed up for public participation? Okay. 7, treasurer's recommendations and reports.
Thank you. Item A is to approve the April financial statements. Total expense $9,224,315.26. Of that, almost $6.6 million was ran through the consortium funds. With the executive summary for April, the biggest revenue collection in April is our last quarterly income tax. Total, and I've got a little snippet here, total gross collections for the year here is a 1.25% increase. We did forecast 2.5 for the year. So if you were to reference that back onto the green SM2 report, you would see that we were off by almost 64,000 in terms of what we had estimated. I kind of referenced this back in January, but I think again, you kind of have to dig deeper to the 3 components of the income tax. One being just the annual filings. So whomever filed their individual school district 100 form and sent a payment with that early, that would be included in there. And then the estimated payments, the IND SD 100 estimated payments would be those individuals paying who their employer doesn't withhold it for each paycheck, or they might have some self-income or a farmer or some other people like that who would not be on a specific payroll. The biggest kind of look or indicator of the current economic environment in the district are the current withholdings, the WHs. And for the year, those were up. Again, this is the total for the year, not just April. Those are up by 5.44%. So I think even though the overall growth was 1.25, I think it's a good indication of the current withholdings being up by 5.44, but the gross total being kind of dragged down a little bit by some of those anomalies. Expenses, as we get closer here, I was just kind of going through again some things that led to a little bit of our items being a little bit over budget. We've increased from 74 family plans to 81. Each family plan costs the board a little over $20,000, so it's such a volatile thing in terms of our family medical expenses. Normally our increases range from 2 to 4 a year, so you have some people that drop off or leave and some people that add on. So overall, the current carryover is a little over $5.4 million. That will drop precipitously in May and June, as those are 2 of the lowest revenue months out of the year. Any questions on the April financials or the checks that were written during the month that were part of your packet?
Any discussion? Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Mellis?
Yes.
Thank you. Item B is approve an updated 5-year forecast for fiscal years 18 to 22. Submit to the Ohio Department of Education. It's page 41 on your electronic packet. It's page 3 on Mr. Mellis, the hard copy.
Thank you very much.
Just to back up real quick, the forecast is filed twice a year at least. You have to file it once in May and once in October. It's to assist in long-range planning and discussion on financial issues. It's a basis for us to be able to sign off that we can afford long-term contracts, such as teacher negotiations, long-term other contractual commitments, and it gives the Department of Education the ability to identify financial problems in school districts through the fiscal watch, fiscal caution, and the fiscal emergency program. Page 3, and the reason you have this packet, it's all a required component of the filing. Certainly I'm not going to go through each and every page, but the overall, if you just want a snippet or a complete, concise summary that's simplified, you would just look at the simplified statement: beginning balance, revenues, expenditures, ending balance. Okay. Currently, we are projecting ever so slightly an operating deficit at the end of fiscal 18, which obviously ends in 2 months, and that to kind of continue throughout the rest of the forecast. A couple things to remember. I did put a little disclaimer in here about the permanent improvement levy. I didn't think it was responsible to just try to jam in an estimate of what impact the permanent improvement levy would have on our 5-year forecast. So certainly we'll be taking a detailed look at that over the summer, and you will see that fully included in the forecast in October. But again, I think there should be a note in there. As you go through each note, again, I won't go through all the, let me back up one second. I think it's important to look at some of the assumptions on total overall revenue. Page 4. We're only projecting an increase on a 5-year annual change of 1.89%. Certainly that might be a little conservative, but I think based on the historical data and some things that we know and don't know going forward, it's the estimate we were comfortable with at this time. Each note, if there's some description, but there's also, if you see some significant fluctuations in the graph, there should be some sort of explanation in the note. If there are basic increases and decrease, you wouldn't see that. We look at our expenditures. We're estimating a 3.15% average throughout the forecast. The last page I want to show you is from an accountability and a continuity standpoint. I think it's important that we're not just throwing numbers out here every 6 months. How does it compare to the last forecast that we filed at this same time last year? And that's what it's page 57 on your electronic copy. It's page 22 on the hard copy. Column A is what we had projected this year last time for FY18, and column B is currently what we have. You can see our revenue is up by 2%. 2% seems low, but it's also $400,000. Our expenditures are up 3.3. Again, seems low. 639,717. The majority of that was within our capital outlay. Some of the roofing stuff that we expedited, some of the other technology and curriculum things that we kind of pushed in to this year to get us to where we needed to be for our students that maybe we didn't know at this time last year. You look at the overall impact though, and we're close, off about 1.2%. So again, percentage-wise, not pretty close, but when you kind of have that cumulative impact of 240,000, you can see how the carryover can fluctuate one way or another pretty quickly. So again, I know I went through that pretty quickly. Certainly, if you have additional questions, I can put this back on the planning session. As we did meet with the finance committee, Mr. Hahn and myself met with Mr. Bratton and Mr. Johnson prior to go through maybe a little more in detail as part of their finance committee duties. But certainly as we move toward October, we'll have a better look at the impact
Travis,
of the
for the
permanent
group, I
program.
think that from the meeting we had, when we were going through and talking about it, in areas where we were pretty high, I think the 13.8%, if you can show that, and I think the audience would like to see this as well, you see a red number up there. That 13.8% is a lot of capital outlay like he had mentioned too. But one thing that was interesting for Mr. Bratton and myself is when we were talking about some of the things that are mandated from the state in regards to the autism grants or scholarships that we have to do and build around some of the special education needs that we add a student and it comes up like that. Just to take those into consideration, those are expenses that are hard to, estimate or judge how much you'll have to spend out. For example, this year's is, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Hahn, but we had an increase of 10 autistic students this year, so those we figured was about $26,000 per student that we had to pay out. So if you add that up, that's $260,000 that we didn't really, anticipate built around that. But just for the audience, I think it's good to know that there's some things out there that you just can't control or estimate built around that or forecast.
And are those unfunded mandates, like for example?
Yes, those types of special education scholarships.
Some of the people I might not know about. There's plenty of those with state government. They pass it down and say, "Oh, you need to do this," but we're not going to give you any more money for that.
Any other questions on the? Yeah, thank you, Mr. Johnson. It was a good summary on the 5-year forecast.
If not, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Second. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Millis?
Yes.
Thank you. Item C is approve an updated classified pay index, which should first be effective for some individuals on July 1st. With each index, it's truly an index, so we have a base amount, and then we are recommending an increase of the base of 2%. So the base increases, and then the index takes care of the rest of it in terms of the new pay for next year. I think we look at all of our classified staff, and we have a phenomenal staff throughout these different categories. A lot of different individuals that are paid through these categories, and we're certainly pleased to be able to recommend this. Certainly, we'd like to give them everybody a little more if we could, but this is both within the forecasted 5-year forecast amount, and it also is equal to the teacher increase. Not that they're always tied, but this particular year would be the same increase that the teachers would receive next year.
Correct. Okay, any questions on C, classified pay index? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, I'll second this motion. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Millis?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Item D, approve the following increases to the insurance premiums, which will also take effect July 1. We also are able to take a premium holiday for both the employees and the board in December. Medical increase is 5.03%, both family and single plan. If we break that down in dollar amount, it's $3.93 additional for a single plan. So it's per month, so you divide that in two for the per pay. $21.43 family. So if you look at that annual increase, that entire amount is offset by the value of the premium holiday. So truly, the total out-of-pocket would not increase based on the premium holiday. Again, with the Finance Committee, I went through the entire formula to get to the 5.03%, same formula for all districts and entities in the consortium. Last 2 years, it was a 0% increase. So certainly nobody wants to pay more premiums, but I think with the insurance market the way it is and some of our past increases, this is reasonable. 0% on the dental is the recommendation.
And again, that's dictated by the consortium.
Correct.
Not by Boeing.
But we're able to take the premium holiday because we're in the consortium and self-insured and not traditionally insured through Anthem. Right.
Keep it.
Okay, any questions on D, insurance premiums? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Oh, we gotta look around here. Mr. Bratton, Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Abstain.
Mr. Mellis?
Yes.
Item E is approve an engagement letter with H.J. Umball and Associates for financial advisory services in connection with the recently passed bond issue. Back in January, we conducted an RFP for financial advisor services just due to the nature of a bond issue. If it does pass, it's imperative that you really hit the ground running to establish how the bonds are going to be structured and then subsequently how they're going to be sold. So this was the first. Obviously, this would not be here without the passage of issue 3, so we're certainly happy that we're able to consider this tonight. Umball was the successful firm. I have worked with several of their individuals with our previous bond issue, so we're very comfortable with their services. You have in your packet, page 65, all of the different services they will provide in conjunction with the bond issue, as well as their proposed fees. All of the fees paid on any bond issue are paid through the bond issue proceeds. So you would sell the bond for a little more than $30 million, and then you would use those premiums to pay the financial advisor, the underwriter, the attorneys, so on and so forth. So none of this money is coming out of our general fund. The first engagement that Umball will be doing, they've actually already sent out bond underwriter RFPs, and Mr. Hall and myself will be sitting in with those on May 21st and 22nd to get a bond underwriter on board, which is the first step, and be able to get the bonds out and get them to the public and get our proceeds.
So is Umball the firm that was used last time?
They are not. They are represented by 2 individuals who worked with the firm that I used last time.
Okay.
I'm very comfortable with them. From there.
Okay. E, approve engagement letter with Umball and Associates. Is there any discussion? Questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Melton?
Yes.
We have 2 fund-to-fund transfers. Only way the money can be transferred from one fund to another is through board approval. Our general fund to pay off interest on our energy conservation. This was debt issued back in 2012, and utility savings are used to pay back the debt. Our tournament account, this is actually, it took us a little while. This was the culmination of all of our winter tournaments that we hosted. Obviously, the majority of them basketball. You do recoup a little, not recoup, but actually get extra for hosting these tournaments that we put back into our athletics fund to help improve everything for all of our student athletes, grades 7 through 12. So.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. I'll second the motion myself. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Mellis?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
And finally, we are very happy to and thankful to recognize the following donations to the Bloom Carroll Local School District as listed. Certainly they'll be recognized with letters and appreciation. Thank you to all these individuals and groups for their generosity.
Okay. And any discussion on the donations? Okay. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. Second?
Second?
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
And Mr. Mellis?
Yes.
Thank you.
And now we have 8 old business, which is not necessarily a topic that I would go speaking on.
Nothing for you there? All right.
Ain't nothing for talk.
All right. So number 9, moving on to the superintendent's recommendations and reports under 8. Just a couple things, just to keep you in the loop. Again, we recognize the Committee for BC Kids. Very thankful to our community, our entire community, for the support they always show us. And of course, with issue 3 here recently, it was just a great process, very tiring. Wouldn't want to do it again anytime soon, but just very thankful for what they're going to allow us to be able to do. And I think we have a huge responsibility ahead of us to do it right and work with them to make this happen. So again, thank you to the Committee for BC Kids. I want to move on to Senate Bill 216, which is now moving on to the Ohio House. It passed the Senate 33-0. If you remember, several months ago I gave you an update, but that was basically known as the Education Deregulation Act. From what I understand, there are hearings being scheduled for May 15th, tomorrow. This has a lot of support. It's going to have some major impacts on the teacher evaluation system and the student growth measures, and eliminating SLOs from being used, also from having student growth measures play a percentage of a teacher's evaluation. Although it doesn't eliminate all testing by any means, it just will have an impact on the role plays in the evaluation if it continues to get through the House and without any additional changes and then become a law. And then the educator licensure and employment, it'll make it easier for substitute teachers to get licensed, to get people in the classroom. Also with aides, it'll simplify that process as well for educational aides. It will have an impact on the state achievement assessments in grades 3 through 5. There will be a paper pencil option or a combination. You can do either or. Maybe you want to do the third grade reading guarantee with paper pencil, and then all the other tests can be done online. That will be an option. As you know, we haven't been impacted as much as some districts, but we'll have a couple students every year in 3rd grade that we're just not allowed by law to move them on, and I don't know if that will have any impact if we can choose paper pencil, but we want to try to give the kids the biggest advantage they can have when taking such a high stakes test. So Senate Bill 216 could impact that. It'll also have an impact on the kindergarten readiness assessments and eliminating that, using some other ways to assess students. A positive change would be that we could the district will not have to assume the full cost of a College Credit Plus textbook. Right now, we are paying for that 100% along with the tuition. So at least the family, depending on if they're not economically disadvantaged, would have to pay for 50% of the textbook, which would help the district a little bit as well in all school districts. And then it would consolidate all the reporting. You heard our school nurses talk about the reports that they have to file. I mean, it's constant. 1 week after the next, we're getting emails about file this report, file that report, make sure you're in compliance. It will consolidate all the state mandated reports into one form, a yes/no kind of checkbox, which will help simplify that process as well and take some of the bureaucracy out of the mandates and the reporting of the mandates. So just want to let you know that that bill is moving kind of quickly. The student growth measures and things like that would take effect in the 1920 school year. It's my understanding that obviously there wouldn't be changes that would take place in the 18-19 school year.
So is that bill going to do anything about, I only can ask this because my wife tells me about it when she subs and did quite a bit in testing. How many students that she ran into with the makeup testing that had like an hour and a half to do a certain section and took 20 minutes?
Yeah, no, it
And
won't
of
change
course,
the time.
The school district is stuck with the results then basically too, right?
Yeah. And there are some of the assessments where they have extended response or they don't have extended response, and the students typically get through the assessments pretty quickly without extended response. This bill has nothing to do with testing time or the types of tests being administered. Other things, just want to, it was on your donations list, but I want to thank different groups, community members, people that live in other states that have contributed to the school district. But there is a small tree being planted in the honor of Eddie Fell, who is the son of Carl Fell. Eddie's sister, Nancy, lives in Illinois and contacted the district and notified us that Eddie Fell is being inducted into the Ohio Military Museum. And she thought it'd be a great honor to plant a tree, so we found a nice spot and a small tree that will flower but not grow huge to be planted out there. If you're really interested, it's called a Cantilever pear tree. I want to thank Keller Farms for working with us and the Fell family to make that happen, but it has been planted out near the concession stand, but not anywhere where it would cause problems to any blacktop or tracks or concession areas or clogged gutters or anything like that. So just a reminder to the board, graduation is on May 20th. It starts at 2 p.m. To be safe and so we can go over some things, I would be in the middle school office by 1:15 on the 20th if you plan to attend. If you're planning to attend, please email me or Connie Berta, the high school secretary, so she can know how many chairs to have on the stage for seating. And the other item I'd like you to try to put on your calendar if you're able to get away from work is the district staff recognition breakfast. That is on May 25th. There's a breakfast served by Marilyn and her food service department in the middle school cafeteria at 8 a.m. in the morning until 8:45. The entire district staff is here. We then move into the auditorium at 8:45 until about 9:30, where we recognize people for years of service, Teachers of the Year, Classified Staff Employee of the Year, and District Teacher of the Year. So you're certainly all welcome to attend if you are available in the morning of the 25th of May. And then the policy committee meeting, I guess we'll talk about later, but just a reminder to Rod and Mark, May 21st at 9:30 a.m. for the policy committee. I think
Are you serving breakfast?
I can. I
No, I'm
can
just
grab.
teasing.
Yeah, I
I'm
can grab
joking.
you a McMuffin or something
Mr.
on
Hunt.
the
I'm
way
not
in.
from
As
Speedway.
far as
Yeah,
the
probably
breakfast
like-
starts at 8, when did you think
It'll
you
be a
were
really
leaving?
hard
10?
biscuit on the inside.
We'll be out of there by 10. But yeah, if you showed up at 8:30 and you stuck around for the awards, grab something to eat real quick. It's not typical for every board member to make it. I just wanted you to know that you're welcome to attend if you would like to. Okay. I think that's it for the update. So any questions about any of those items? Okay. Moving on to 9B, students and programs. Number 1, recognize the second semester students of the month. For January, Hattie Poling, Eli Deputy, Mason Storks, Gage DiPolito. In February, Carmichael Snyder, Dylan Armentrout, Cynthia Botts, Grant Pierce. In March, Vincent Broush, Caitlin Likens, Rylan Cunningham, Mary Cosgrove. In April, Matthew Stoner, Laney Neff, Jaden Sharrow, and Reese Hudson. And in May, Hannah Huffmaker, Jet Jones, Samuel Petty, and Penelope Webb. Moving on to number 2, 9B2, approve the proposal for the third grade after-school reading program to be held mid-September 2018 through the end of April 2019 on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3:45 to 4:45. We know that there are second graders coming to us that are on RIMPS, a reading improvement plan, to help try to get them caught up to speed. Maybe they're behind grade level. This is a program we run 2 days a week in the fall leading up to the November testing, and then we continue with students into the spring testing to try to get them caught up. The teachers we will approve later on that do this, it's one teacher per night, again for an hour, and we pay them the tutor rate, and they just timesheet that to the payroll department, okay? It has helped several students get over that hump, so they're not being held back. I think it's a good program. Number 3, approve the following 2018-19 student parent handbooks. Those are on the cloud. They're also in your packet for the high school, middle school, intermediate, and primary school. Number 4, approve the following summer camps and closures, gym closures for 2018, which includes overnight trips as indicated in bold print. Teams will be accompanied by their respective coaches and parent chaperones for overnight trips, pending mandated background checks for volunteers. A, the boys basketball camp with Brett Mitchell. B, the boys soccer camp with Zach Spriggs. C, football camp with Wade Bartholomew. D, cheerleading with Ashley Maloney. E, the girls basketball camp with Chad Little. F, girls soccer with Mark Casperson. G, volleyball with Amber Harris. H, wrestling with Daniel Grove. I, the gymnasium closure will be July 16th through the 22nd in the middle school and the high school for the refinishing of the floor, which is something we typically do every summer after the wear and tear throughout the school year. Number 5, approve the attendance of approximately 17 FFA students at the Ohio FFA camp in Carrollton, Ohio, June 4th through the 8th, 2018, accompanied by Christy Bachman. Number 6, approve the attendance of approximately 3 FFA students at the Ohio Leadership Camp in Carrollton, Ohio, June 22nd through the 25th, 2018, accompanied by Pat Sheridan. And number 7, we're going to adjust the time of the musical next year. It's typically in March. Because of the selection of the musical, but I'm going to ask you to approve the White Christmas as a high school musical to be performed December 13th and 14th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. and December 15th, 2018 at 6 p.m. So any questions about any of those items? Okay.
Okay, we have a voting line. Anyone like to make a motion on this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I was gonna say, who was, okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Under 9C, personnel, approved substitute list number 10 for May 2018 as submitted by the Fairfield County Educational Service Center. Number 2, approve the voluntary transfer of Ellen Straight Craner from 3rd grade teacher to elementary Title I teacher at the intermediate school effective with the 18-19 school year to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Cynthia Kohler. Number 3, approve the voluntary transfer of Melissa Dinan from intervention specialist at the intermediate school to 3rd grade teacher effective with the 18-19 school year pursuant to the approval of agenda item 9C2, which would be the voluntary transfer of Ellen Craner. Number 4, approve the voluntary transfer of Jenny Mason from 8th grade intervention specialist to 5th grade intervention specialist effective with the 18-19 school year pending acceptance of agenda item 11F1, which is Elizabeth Ankram's resignation from 5th grade. And number 5, approve increase in the hours of Kristen Neff, speech and language pathologist, from 0.6 FTE to 1 FTE due to increasing student caseload effective with the 18-19 school year. To give all of you a little bit of background there, we've had a part-time 3-day-a-week SLP for quite a few years now. Kristen Neff is in her first year with us. We are losing, we have none of our students leaving the speech and language program, but we have 13 additional students coming in that will need services for next year. Right now, both Kristen Neff and Rachel Whitcraft are both seeing 7.6 students per day on their caseload, but we have an additional 13 coming in. We're already paying her for additional hours so that she's time sheeting to come in, and for assessments to help with kindergarten quite a bit too. So we're just at the point where we're getting more and more students with more and more needs as our population grows. So that's the reason for that request, okay? Number 6, approve changing the number of work days for Ed Derenberger, intermediate school custodian, from 260 days per year to 193 days per year. Number 7, approve the following adjustment in work hours for the treasurer's office effective July 1st, 2018. A, Caprice Dickon, treasurer's assistant payroll, decrease from 40 hours per week down to 32 hours per week. And 7B, Cheryl Hale, treasurer assistant, accounts payable, increasing from 20 hours per week to 28 hours per week. You can see the hourly, the switch in the hours is still the total cumulative amount. Travis, do you have anything you want to add?
I just think, and they came to me with this better represents the actual work from the office, especially now with the levy passing with the accounts payable, so it'll work better.
Number 8, approve the employment of Emily Bogart and Laura Richardson as 3rd grade after-school reading program instructors for the 18-19 school year at a tutor hourly rate of pay. Number 9, approve Ellen Straight-Craner, Sarah Wooding, and Janine Walker as substitute instructors for the 3rd grade after-school reading program for the 18-19 school year at a tutor hourly rate of pay. Number 10, approve 3 days, 7.5-hour days of extended service for Molly Foster at the primary school as a library aide for the 17-18 school year. Number 11, approve 3 days at 7.5 hours a day of extended service for Stephanie Gillenwater at the intermediate school for the library aide for the 17-18 school year. Number 12, approve William Moore as a substitute lunchroom monitor for the remainder of the 17-18 school year and the 18-19 school year. Number 13, approve Lisa Beckwith as a 2018 summer custodian or custodial worker. And then number 14, we have an addendum item to go to as well, but approve the following requests for unpaid leave or dock days. A would be 1 half day for Nicole Bigham on May 16th, 2018. B would be 1 day for Susan Kennedy on May 24th, 2018. C would be 1 day for Janine Walker on April 20th, 2018. D would be 1 day for Elizabeth Ankrum, and from the addendum on May 25th, 2018, not May 24th, so it should be May 25th. And then from the addendum, also approve the following request for an unpaid leave or dock day for 1 half day for Nicole Bigham on May 14th, 2018. Okay. Number 15, approve the following FMLA leave requests. Rebecca Rovers, custodian, beginning May 31st, 2018 through approximately July 6th, 2018. Number 16, approve the following personnel to provide extended school year services for Bloom Carroll special needs students during the 2018 period and the 18-19 school year. Marissa Baker, physical therapist, is $63 an hour plus mileage not to exceed 10 hours. B, Krista Wagner, occupational therapist, at $103 per hour, not to exceed $15 an hour. And C, Elizabeth Ankrum, home instructor, up to 20 hours at the currently hourly rate until the end of June. And just so you know, these are for this is for a student with special needs. Their IEP requires these services. The IEP team, family, school district reps, physical therapists, occupational therapists, obviously felt like these services were needed. These services are already being provided by these individuals. So in terms of a continuum of services, rather than switching, we have people that are currently working with the student that will continue to work with the student.
So, Mr. Hunt, is that per week or?
It's usually an IEP. It is written per month or per week, but you typically see so many minutes per month written in an IEP.
So basically, on the first one, for example, it's not going over $630 the whole time. Is what you're saying.
Right. Yep. All right. Number 17, approve Elizabeth Steiner from Muskingum University for student teaching field experience with Nikki Smith at Bloom Carroll Middle School, effective in August 2018 for approximately 60 days. Number 18, approve the following athletic supplemental contracts for the 17-18 school year pending acceptance of agenda item 9F5, which would be the resignation of Cooper Vest from baseball. So we would be dividing the rest of that up over Jason Bess and John Garvin at 22.5% each. Cooper had completed 55% of the season when he had to resign due to scheduling conflicts. So Jason Bess and John Garvin will pick up the rest of that supplemental contract. Okay. Number 19, approve the following athletic supplemental contracts for the 18-19 school year, A through D, and then strike E and F from the agenda, and then G through DD. And again, those would be athletic supplementals for the 18-19 school year. Travis will reflect the change in the minutes to the strike through on E and F.
So what's, I mean, perhaps I shouldn't ask, but what is the deal with the strike through on 19?
The athletic director just contacted us this afternoon and said there's been a change of plans. I'm not sure if it's with the percentage or a scheduling conflict for one of the coaches here that thought they would be able to do it, and due to the schedule for the fall, they may not be able to help out with that 25%.
Okay.
Okay. So I should have it for you at the June board meeting.
Okay, just wondered.
Yeah. Oops, let me back up, I'm sorry. All right, so number 20, approve the following athletic department volunteers for the 18-19 school year pending timely receipt of all verifications and background checks. A, Nicole Smith for high school volleyball, and Mark Hughes, middle school girls basketball. Number 21, approve the following extended service days for the 18-19 school year as presented, A through G. And then we have a voting line after G.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the following?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Abbott,
Yes.
Mr. Bratton,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
and Mr. Mills.
Yes.
Okay. And 21, approve the following extended service days for the 18-19 school year for H. Jamie Johnson, middle school counselor, 20 days. Number 22, approve the following one-year academic supplemental contracts for the 18-19 school year as presented, A through OO. And there is one which would be pending acceptance of agenda item 9F6, which would be the resignation of the percussion instructor, Max Marsilio. That would be item M, Brian Ellerman. Okay. And then 23, approve the following marching band volunteer for the 18-19 school year pending timely receipt of background checks. That would be A through D, Miriam Truex, Jocelyn McAvoy, Chris DeKay, and Caitlin Tope. And then number 24, approve the following volunteers for the 17-18 school year pending successful background check results. That would be your Group A volunteers with background checks on file. And from the addendum, we need to add number 25, approve the employment of Shelby Elswick as a 2018 summer custodian. Okay?
And there's a voting line.
Yep.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Bratton,
Yes.
Mr. Abbott,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Abstain.
and Mr. Mills.
Yes.
Okay. Letter D, contracts and agreements. Number 1, approve a resolution card authorizing continued membership of the Ohio High School Athletic Association for the 18-19 school year. This is just an annual agreement that we will abide by the bylaws of the Ohio High School to participate in their tournaments. Number 2, approve the transportation services agreement with Burn Union Local for shuttle services of vocational students at a cost of $300 per student, $1,500 maximum for the 18-19 school year. And this is about $1,000 savings to contract with them. We have been contracting with another district.
It's actually a little more. The Canal Winchester is our current contractual partner, and they're charging $5,000 flat fee.
So-
yeah, it's just, it'll be, at a minimum be a $3,500 savings.
Yeah.
So Burn Union's gonna provide transportation.
Fairfield, I think Liberty Union, Fairfield Union.
Just Fairfield, Amanda, and
And
Bloomfield.
we'll be sharing a bus to get our kids there, because no sense of running a bus for maybe 2 or 3 kids. We
Right.
can group them all together. And Canal Winchester contacted us about some increases, and Burton Union was able to run a bus and actually save us money in this process. So.
Sounds like a winner.
Number 3, approve an agreement with Fairfield County Educational Service Center for employment of the following personnel for the 18-19 school year. Jody Raniger, Curriculum Director, per our service agreement with the ESC, and Jody Raniger, Communications Coordinator, per the service agreement. And then we also have some educational aides, 3 educational aides on behalf of the district, and 2 transportation aides on behalf of the district. Primarily, they're in our primary and intermediate schools and on our preschool buses with the young students that are requiring and strapped into car seats. Okay. Number 4, approve the following 5-year agreements with eSchoolView, beginning with the 1920 school year. The reason we're doing this now is because there's about a year of, not a year, but there's several months, which will start in January, that will involve building some new school forms. But approve the following 5-year agreements with eSchoolView for the 1920 school year for the website contract extension, the Instant Connect call manager, which is different than what we're using right now. And then OneView will also include student and staff forms. We'll have 3 staff forms, but we're currently using final forms. I brought Mark in here tonight to answer any questions, but the reason we want to do this, a number of reasons. It saves the district quite a bit of money. Currently using Final Forms, School Messenger, and our former website agreement, we're not going to have a new website. They're already providing a website, but by using some other services of eSchoolView, we get a discount on the website hosting. And also we can reduce our price using the Instant Connect, which is an automatic or an automated call system that will notify families like we have now with School Messenger. But just to give you an idea, for Final Forms, School Messenger, and our website costs right now, we're spending $17,296.99 a year. By switching to OneView, we will be spending $12,711.40. We will be saving $4,585 per year. OneView will be able to extract all the data in Final Forms and automatically populate our new forms, so parents won't have to go back in and re-enter all the data they've already entered. As you know, as a parent in Final Forms, you go through and you sign multiple forms every year just to sign off that this form hasn't changed. You will do this one time. You won't have to do it for multiple forms. It integrates with our student information system called Dazzle, where if there's a change done on a form, the change takes place in Dazzle. If there's a Dazzle change by a secretary or administrator, it changes in OneView as well. It integrates with Progress Book. It integrates with Versatran, so a parent can log in and see what bus routes their kids are on and what the pickup and drop-off time and locations are as well. So it's really more user-friendly and it saves the district money. The Instant Connect call system, we're currently being charged $1.50 per student. We will be charged $1.10 per student for this call system that will do essentially the same thing, if not more. And then with Final Forms, we are saving quite a bit of money right there. That's where the most of the cost is being saved. Mark, is there something you would like to add that maybe I didn't communicate well?
Just that the OneView will start with the 1920 school year. I'll start the conceptual design in January of 19. It'll be ready for kindergarten registration in the April timeframe of 2019, but it will not kick in for the whole student population until the 1920 school year. So we'll still use Final Forms for this next year. And then we'll roll everything after we get everything built and it's been fully tested. The Instant Connect will start with this coming school year. We've completed the design phase on it today, so we'll start the import of everybody here over the next week. We'll do some in-house testing, so it will roll effective July 1. It will be active.
Did you guys see any demos or walk through any of this at all?
Yeah, we actually did. This is the same company that hosts and built our current website.
Okay.
So we've worked with them in that partnership agreement. Mr. Hahn actually had them at some superintendent meetings where they kind of showed the one view and the different things. We brought them on site here to do a demo for us in-house. So we have looked at this several different times.
Yeah. I mean, other than the cost savings, I mean, I think having the integration where if you update once a database, it updates the other one, I think that's a huge time.
It's very
saver.
frustrating right now for our secretaries that, we're relying on final forms and the data that the parents sign off on every year and there, but it doesn't change our operating, the main student information system that we use that holds all the students' records. So trying to go through that process is very just convoluted, and it's just messy, and we don't know which data is right. So this will integrate, and like I said, with other applications we're using, like Progress Book, our bus routing information, and it saves us money. So
the only thing that I would point out on the OneView system, if there's a demographic change, such as an address change, it will not automatically update in student information. That will take our registrar to verify that they are actually a resident of our school district before she will approve that change, and then it will update in student information as well as in OneView. If it's something as simple as a phone number change or an email change, we're not too concerned about those. We need to harvest that information for the other programs that we use, but those changes will be made within a matter of seconds once it talks back to the student information.
I'm a little disappointed. I was just becoming comfortable with the final form.
well, we know, and that's why we asked specifically about will the information be extracted and pulled without having to go through and re-enter forms, new forms, and they claim they can do that. Yeah.
We're making it as simple as we can with the parents so that when this goes live, what I'm envisioning is the parents will put in their child's student ID and then an email address. It'll prompt them immediately to change a password.
And just so you know, we were able to get this pricing because the local superintendents around the county got together to get through the ESC consortium pricing. So East Schoolview was able to drop that price for all the school districts. So they're all making the switch, and some are going to it this year. But we wanted to take a year to build that and test it and make sure we're good. Okay. All right. Number 5. This is going to include Mark a little bit again here, and possibly Jody as well. But number 5, approve a 5-year quote with ClassLink for single sign-on service for school instructional applications beginning with the 18-19 school year. So as a parent, you may realize that in education in the 21st century involves a lot of blended learning, a lot of applications that are done obviously online, websites, programs, textbooks are online, kids log in the classrooms, teachers have to log in. If you just go to our student website and you click on student resources, I'm just going to roll off some of the programs that students have to log into: AR, Renaissance, Brain Pop, Clever, Compass Learning, Connect, Easy Bridge with Pearson, Final Forms, Info Ohio, iReady, NWEA Map, the Digital Library with Meta, OdysseyWare, State Practice Sites, Study Island, Think Central, McDougall, online textbook, email. So my point is, it gets overwhelming, not only for teachers and students, and Mark tries to keep their username and password as consistent from one application to the next. But the bottom line is, our students lose, and our staff, they lose instructional time because we're searching around trying to log in for passwords. It's just a complicated process. Honestly, we don't feel like the programs are being used to their maximum because of the frustration with the login process, even though we've simplified it as best as we can. The single sign-on is literally that people's, staff members, students log into the network, log on the computer. They will be redirected to our website. They'll click on student resources. They click on ClassLink, and now they are signed in to all their applications. They will also have remote access from, teachers and students will have remote access. If they save a file on the network, they can be at home and access that. It also ties in with the Google Drive or the other cloud services, whether it's Microsoft, Google, the district network, but they will be logged in. Once they log into ClassLink, they're logged into everything, so they can just click, the application opens, they're ready to go. I kind of feel instructionally, this is the final piece we need to put in place and then settle. For a few years, we've done some math adoption, ELA adoption, science, social studies. Now we need to make sure the access is there easily for parents and students and teachers. And then we need to start to see results of the investment we've made as a district in, online programs or textbooks that are blended. And that's really why we're recommending this at this point. There is some upfront costs, but we get a better deal doing a 5-year agreement than we do doing a 1-year or even a 3-year agreement. Mark, Jody, we have received multiple quotes from multiple single sign-on services. They're all a little bit different. We have called teachers, we have called principals, curriculum directors, and other school districts that are using this. Worthington, Upper Arlington, Granville, Olentangy are all users of ClassLink at this time.
Barrington's coming on board, Tays Valley's coming on board.
Yeah, this year,
This current year.
this coming school
Yes,
year.
this coming school year.
Yeah, so,
We currently support on the student side between 17 and 19 different applications you can see in that student portal. As Mr. Pond said, we try our best to keep the username and password the same. We can't do that with everything because of the requirements of the vendor. Some require an email address. While we do that beginning piece of the email, we keep that consistent, we still have to append the @students.bloomcarroll.org. So ClassLink will work with those companies to create a true single sign-on. They also offer a rostering service. We currently use Meta for a lot of our rostering, but there's still a lot of manual rostering that my department has to do. And that takes a lot of man hours when you're trying to get a district ready to go for opening and when you're trying to manage a district with a limited staff. So we're not doing the rostering piece initially. I need to get this up off the ground, get the staff trained, get the students trained. We'll then look at the rostering piece and build a sandbox where we can do some testing with some of our various applications that we support. And that the hope is that by next school year, we'll be full-blown with ClassLink using the rostering piece as well as the true single sign-on portion.
And another component I like, there's an analytics component to it.
Yeah.
Outside of the keys and accessing your programs, I mean, that's a beautiful thing. There's analytics to where it will let us see what programs, how often they're used by teachers, students, so we can assess that the programs we have purchased are being used, and if there's any that, we might not be using fully, we could.
When you get those stats, I think it's important for us to know too as well, if we're paying money for something that nobody's using. I mean, it's either, you have to talk to your administrative staff or whoever in regards to it, but, please let us know.
I typically do those online renewals about this time every year. I handle all the online renewals throughout the district, so that analytics piece is really important. I'm bringing at tomorrow's admin meeting a list of all the programs that we currently support. I don't have analytics to back up what we're using to know if it's being used with fidelity. So we really kind of fly by the seat of our pants a lot of times. We have to go on what our principals tell us that it's being used. This will allow us to have that data. The data doesn't lie. It will tell us very clearly whether or not that program is being used effectively or not. We can then make that informed decision.
Truth be told.
Are our applications paid for on a by-user basis or?
Some of them are on an ADM basis. Most of those that I buy, I try to buy a building license or a district-wide license. It is cheaper per user that way. But there are some that are concentrated in certain areas that I may buy 100 license. And it's used just in a specific subset of kids. But the most of them I try to do site license or building-wide license.
I think we're just at the point where if the three of us and the principals don't always know,
Yeah.
can't remember what you used to log in. Is a parent or a student going to
Don't
remember?
remember right.
So I think this is a wise investment. It'll make better use of our programs and like Jody said, determine, are there some things we can cut out that we're not using to save some money and quit doing renewals every year? So, okay, we do think in the long run it'll be very beneficial for us. Number 6, approve the College Credit Plus MOU between Bloom Carroll and Hocking College for the 18-19 school year. Again, that's for the CCP agreement. We offer several in-house CCP courses through Hocking College. And then number 7, from the addendum, approve and execute a global health sciences and professions affiliation agreement for speech and language pathology with Ohio University, the College of Health Sciences and Professions. That is one of their students, at the request of our speech and language pathologist, needs some help with some kindergarten assessments, and bringing that student teacher in to do their experience with SLP. We obviously would have to approve that agreement to bring in even one person, so that's the main reason for doing that, okay? And it looks like we have a voting
I
line.
have a voting line.
Yeah.
Any questions about this? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Millis?
Yes. E, other?
Okay, nothing under other, and then F, personnel resignations and retirements. Number 1, accept the resignation of Elizabeth Ankrum, 5th grade intervention specialist, effective May 25th, 2018. Number 2, accept the retirement resignation of Carol Black, 7th grade social studies teacher with 35 years of service to the Bloom Carroll District, effective May 25th, 2018. Accept the resignation of Mary Scott, middle school lunchroom monitor, effective May 24th, 2018. Number 4, accept the resignation of Henry Ted Harrison, van driver, effective June 1st, 2018. Number 5, accept the resignation of Cooper Vest, 8th grade baseball coach, effective April 25th, 2018, with 55% of the season complete. Number 6, accept the resignation of Max Marsilio, percussion instructor for the 18-19 school year, effective immediately. And it is with gratitude that we obviously accept these resignations for their service to our school district, each and every one of them.
Any discussion? Motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second this one. Roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Millis?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
And Mark, number 10, you gotta,
Abstain.
yeah.
New business. Well, you want to explain it? What this is, School Boards Association has a meeting once a year for legislative platform committee. In other words, the bills that they will be pushing in their meeting, in that meeting. Last year was only a half a day, and they didn't even feed us. What's such a deal? So it doesn't cost the school district anything. In fact, we were supposed to and didn't do an item where I got paid mileage. I don't really care. It's not that big a deal. So anyway, that's what it's all about. It kind of keeps my hand in what I did for 20 years for the Teacher Association. So I just like to see what's going on and also get an update from their lobbyists to see what's coming down the road also. Okay, so that's what that's all about.
All right, so approve the nomination of Mark Millis, OSBA 2019 Legislative Platform Committee.
So moved.
So moved.
Who's that, Rod?
Yeah.
Rod?
Mr. Bratton.
It's hard to tell
And
sometimes.
Matt,
those three
Matt with the
guys.
second? Okay, you can still, Travis, roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Bratton?
Yes.
Mr. Abbott?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Millis?
Abstain.
Okay. All right, Mark, number 11, how are you?
Number 11, board reports and information. Board of Education liaison updates. Facility management.
We are having a OFCC meeting on May the 23rd.
Not 10:23 though, right?
God, so I.
May
I don't know.
23rd
He said
at
it's
10.
10:23.
Oh, I was struggling. Can you tell I was tired? I said,
Yeah.
we're not meeting October
doubled it.
23rd. We are meeting,
From 5 to
we're not
10.
meeting April 23rd. We are meeting May
May
23rd at 10 a.m. with OFCC to discuss the ELK project. That would be with the regional planning consultant from Resource International, which his name is Chris Collado. He's worked with the district on the pre-planning for several years. Travis knows him well. But the Mr. Millis, Mr. Abbott, myself, Tony Shore, the architect, we've done some pre-bond design things with, and Chris Collado will be there as well. So that's a facility management update. Okay.
So is the architect, is that the same firm that was used for this building? I didn't
No,
think it was.
different.
Different, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody asked me that between the last meeting and this one, so I just wondered.
Yeah.
Okay, personnel and labor management, I don't have anything. Do you have anything? OSBA representative?
Yeah, so I attended a
Yeah.
conference on April 27th and 28th. Very good information. The one thing I would recommend to Mr. Hahn is if you ever get a chance to book a guest speaker from a beginning of the year kind of kickoff from a leadership, changes in education that you're going. Jim Mahoney was probably one of the most impressive speakers.
Oh, is that right? Good.
Mark, or you might have listened to him before. He's
I don't
been
know.
around the block a
Sounds
lot.
familiar.
But
Does he
he's
have white
really-
hair? I could have heard it.
Yeah. But just very engaging. Just talking about the changes at the education process. It was really moving. He showed a video where everything was, it's moving to robotics, it's moving to non-humans, and, are we preparing our kids for the future? He really hit on the point with school board members around, hey, everybody is so driven by test scores these days, and we're really missing the boat on that. We really need to get away from it. But overall, the one thing I was really impressed with, and I think that we did follow the right roadmap, is with Upper Arlington school district. It was kind of looked like a mirror image of what we did with our campaign.
Hey,
So
you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
yeah. So
No, you don't.
I'm sure people will reach out to you as well. I mean, it did. We took a lot of ideas from Upper Arlington. They actually got to present up there. But overall, I mean, it was there's some legislative things that are coming down. One of them was, I know we alluded to last time, Sean. I think it's very interesting in regards to the school year start date. That's kind of a big one, I think, with a lot of school districts. Now we keep starting earlier and earlier, and everybody just wants us, that set date out there built around that.
But they want longer spring breaks and longer Christmas breaks.
Yeah.
And you can't get all that put into one calendar. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work out well.
I need to check on that bill that was going to require school year to start after Labor Day.
After Labor Day,
I'm
like
a
you
huge
did.
supporter of it. If we're all on the same page,
Yeah, I agree with
support
you.
it.
No, I totally agree with you as well.
But the difference is, back when I was attending school and some of the rest of us were attending school, I don't think we had to go 180 days. I think 170 was the limit then, I believe. Because it would be hard to get all those days in between the day after Labor Day and Memorial Day. If we went after Memorial Day, it was to clean out your desk, have a class party, and you're gone.
Right.
And that is the case with a lot of school districts anyway.
And one of the other ones I actually attended was really good, and it's really built around our Business Advisory Council, is, what are we doing built around that for kids that aren't, college material, to say, are they doing trades? What are we teaching them built around the career centers, preparing them for life, other than saying, hey, yeah, I'm going to attend the local university, and then really they're not built around that. I'll get a little bit more into that. I think I might be up on the next one. But really working with like Job and Family Services, they use Career Pathway. It's the Madison County, I think, if I have my notes right, built around that. But working with them and using Job and Family Services out there for them. But they had a really good plan. But really what we're going to do here in the Fairfield County area with the Business Advisory Council is we met back in April 20th is when we met. And we established a board. A lot of superintendents were in attendance, as well as business leaders within there. Company Wrench is actually represented there, Sean, so I thought that was pretty cool, based around when you're talking about trades with people. We had electricians that are part of the advisory board as well. But we created that. We're going to meet 4 times a year to meet, the state mandate built around that. Our next meeting is going to be actually next Monday, and we got one in September and November. But we actually, put the president together, which he's dealt with this kind of information in the past, really the Career Center kind of like type built around that. So I think this will be good for us moving forward. But really when we met and we discussed some of the things, the whole idea is really built around this is to create jobs back in with our community. We have a couple, I think, here within our community. just name a couple, like Thompson Concrete, folks that, you know, can go out and make a decent wage. Company Wrench, for example, would go out and they prepare themselves. But really, I think we're doing a good job at it now. We're starting to touch these kids in the middle school now with the career cafe that we're doing, and that's what we're trying to do with this advisory committee. I was kind of shocked a little bit how some of the other county schools within us don't put anything like that together. They're really catching these kids at their senior year. Hey, what do you want to do? And not really providing
which is a little
anything.
late.
Yeah, I mean, even though you have, you know, Eastland Fairfield
Can't be.
Career Center, a lot of these folks aren't hitting these kids in the middle. So it's really, we're on the right path here with our school district, I think. But they're going to do a survey with about 100 students, get some feedback. You know, when would they have liked to known about, you know, the trade world, electricians, plumbers, built around that. But we're on a good path. It will be, you know, compliant with what we have to do around the Business Advisory Council.
There are a whole lot of jobs out there that pay a decent wage, a lot more than a starting teacher makes. So
And
my son went to a
down
2-year
there.
school in
Yeah.
Lima, and he's making a whole heck of a lot of money. I told him, I said, "You're making a whole lot more than our superintendent." No slide. I thought, I really don't want either job, as a matter of fact. But he's on an IndyCar team and makes a lot of money, but he's never home either. So I mean, he really isn't. I mean, he makes, I think, a huge amount of money, but it's like, you know, there's so many, I mean, his daughter was in a play, he didn't get to go, he got to see the video, and I went, my wife and I went, but he didn't get to go.
The only other thing, Mark, I'll add for us is we're meeting next Monday, I believe, at 9:30.
Yes, at 9:30.
Around policy.
Yeah, policy committee.
Yeah, that thing weighed about a ton, I lifted it up.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Okay, we've got policy then covered. So, next page, we have the safety, health, and wellness. Mrs. Parker.
I don't really have anything. I will reach back out to the guy that contacted us. Did he contact you too, Joe, about the,
He's a former
He's a fire-
chief, fire chief at Greenfield Township.
Yes.
Um,
former or is he current?
No, he's current.
Yeah,
Is
he's
he current?
current,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he
Because
is.
he offered to
Slade?
meet me there to discuss
Slade?
it at the firehouse.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's current.
Okay, okay.
Are you going to reach out? Or
I'll
want me
reach
to?
back out to him
Okay,
just to
good deal.
make sure.
Yeah, because
By
he
Deb?
was real.
I gave it,
Let him know we're still interested.
Yeah.
He just hasn't sent me anything, so.
Yeah, I actually talked to him, and he was super interested when I gave him Mr. Hahn's information.
If you guys want me to reach out, just send me
I
the
can just pass
information
along
again
the
and I
contact
can
info,
reach out
that's
too.
fine.
So either way.
Or you could bring somebody like my father, and a farmer, who, if he was still alive and only had 7 fingers left because the corn shredder ate the rest, yes. The corn shredder
Right,
does
tied
not
up with
differentiate
time.
between corn and hands. Does not. And number 6, finance, Mr. Bratton.
So Mr. Johnson and I met with Sean or Mr. Hahn, excuse me, and Mr. Bigham before this meeting actually, and went through just insurance premiums and discussed in a little more detail how those are calculated. It was a good meeting, as well as administration, salaries for the next few years, as well as what we're looking at, how that impacts the 5-year forecast, just in more detail. You guys obviously had everything in your packet today, but that's my update.
Okay, thank you. B, we've got upcoming PTO and booster board, education meetings. Excuse me, athletic boosters, 5/14, elementary PTO, both on the same day, different times. Graduation ceremony, yes. We're gonna have the diplomas with me, Joe, as the vice
Sure.
president. I figured I'd do the lower end of the alphabet, that way I can give my granddaughter.
Yeah.
And then I probably should start up some kind of a betting thing, you know, just as a joke to see who cries the most, her or my wife or daughter.
I'll say all of you.
I say all.
Or you.
Yeah.
Or I won't cry as much as them guys.
You'll probably
Everybody's on
break
you.
down.
No, I won't cry as much as them. That's impossible.
If you do, just come over, I'll hug you.
That's all right. As long as we don't have to pick Galky up off the floor like we did last year. That poor guy just about fell. I had to grab his arm. Scared the crap out of it. You know, you got me with the bad back. It's like, oh yeah, I need to do that. So we have that Board of Education planning session. I do have a question. I know Mr. Bratton can't make that meeting on the 23rd. Do we have 3 or 4 people that will be there?
Here-
Yeah, let me ask that, because I'm gonna be running a little, I might be about 10 or 15 minutes late.
Well, that's not
So
that
so
big.
maybe back it up. Will we have 4? Will we have 4 of you?
We'll be there.
I'll be,
You'll
I'll
be
be there,
there,
but we
okay.
can change it to 7 if you, I mean, I don't,
We could change it to 7.
Well,
I'm just coming from Dayton.
here are some of the things
You have
we
a problem
wanted,
with that?
here's,
we can never.
here's some of the things we want to include. I mean, just so you know, Travis is the bond council, obviously. We're
Right.
making some phone calls, checking with some other school districts. on the construction council as well. We'll have to have construction services, legal services as well. We have some options with what we can do there, and I'll have more information for you. But I wanted to possibly bring in a construction attorney from Bricker and Eckler to maybe
Yes.
share with
Talked
the
about that.
board that night a little bit about things we need to watch for, what that process is, and then also bring in Tony Shore to go over the process as well. Obviously, he's worked with Lancaster, Whitehall, a lot of school districts in Central Ohio on these OFCC ELP projects, and I want to make sure that the board understands. I wish we could move, so much faster, but
Oh,
these
yeah.
things take time, and you
Right.
need to do your due diligence and make sure
Right.
you have your bond counsel, you have your construction counsel. And other things we need to talk about at that planning session is we want to try to meet later this week on the high school roof with Hash Construction to make sure that John Pugh and the district is prepared for that project to start on the 29th. So I thought it would be good on the 23rd if Tony could not only talk about the OFCC construction process for a new elementary, but also touch on the high school roof that'll be done this summer to get that part done
Okay.
as well. So
So do we want to change the starting time to make it a little later, or just?
I'm fine.
I
with
guess I
6
overshot
o'clock.
with 7.
I can try to get out of there early. I'm coming from Dayton and I get out of there.
So we
about
doing,
4.
what time is that?
it starts at 6.
Starts at 6.
I think
That
it might
should be
be.
much rush.
You want to do 6:30?
We can go with 6. I'll
Okay.
actually go.
You don't
get
wanna
out
go
of there.
early.
Okay. So
Okay.
that's it for the planning session, okay?
Okay, so we got last day of school